Welcome to Innovators Unscripted, the podcast for innovators by innovators. Today, Tina and I are so excited to welcome a champion of Google champions, the one and only John Sowash. John, we are so grateful for you to take the time away from all of your projects and your amazing podcast to come and chat with us today. And we are hoping you can start off just by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about where you are and who you are.
Thanks, Liz and Christina. Happy to be here. Always happy to join a podcast. I will tell you, as a podcaster myself, it is way better to be a guest than a host because all I have to do is talk. I don't have to do any of the hard work behind the scenes. Thank you for having me. I'm a former high school teacher turned high school principal turned technology coach and trainer. Over the span of about 10 to 12 years, I went from the classroom to the administration, front office, and then as a full-time trainer. And I owe the Google Champions program for a significant part of my professional trajectory. Without question, is one of the most impactful and life-changing things that I've done. And happy to be in the presence of two fellow champions and talk about the experience.
Excellent. Well, we will dive into all of your amazing experience and especially that Champions connection in just a second. But first, we like to start off with a little icebreaker because we know that innovators are notorious multitaskers and also usually what we're finding out have multiple identities. So we're wondering about your browser tab confession. How many tabs do you have open and what's the weirdest or most unexpected one that you have on your browser right now?
Well, I cleaned things up before we started because I didn't want my computer to explode in the process of recording this. So I have kind of a wild setup. I have dual monitors. I have a beast of a Chromebook. I have the most powerful one I can find. It's like 16 gig Chromebook. So at any given time, I will have multiple windows. It's kind of obnoxious. So I help. I serve as like a on-call Google admin for various school districts around the country. So I just counted. I've never actually done this before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. I have 27 different Google accounts that I have to manage for different districts that I work with across the country. So it gets quite complicated switching between the different windows that I'm running. I cleaned it up, so I don't have them all open right now. I'm pretty lean at the moment, but it can get out of control.
Maybe we should have asked you like the best machine. So that Chromebook that you were saying that you had, because if you have 27 accounts, I'm assuming you just have to close them all the time, right?
Yeah, I can't run them all. And a lot of them, it's kind of an on-call situation. So like I had someone, we will leave them unnamed, who got hacked today. So I had to go in there and deal with that situation. And then I'll jump over to this project. So definitely don't run them all. Yeah, the Chromebook, Chromebook Plus is my preferred device. Pretty much any Chromebook Plus is great. I did struggle a lot to find a 16 gig Chromebook with touchscreen. It might be surprising, but there are only like 2 of them. So I'm using a CTL right now. It's not super great on the aesthetic side, but it is an absolute beast on the internals. So, it's not like the fancy, what is it, the Galaxy, that one is super cool, the fire engine red one, but it definitely gets the job done.
That's awesome. So now that we've gone down that path, let's jump back to Google Champions. You said that you had created a huge impact in this space because of being part of Google. So I always say we're hopping back in a time machine and we're going way back. Like, I don't mean to sound like it's way back, but it's back.
The dinosaurs, as my children would like me to believe. Back to 2009. Yes.
Right?
So
it wasn't even called what is it? Google Innovators back then, right?
Right. No, it was called the Google Teacher Academy. I don't know for sure. You guys can fact check me on this. I think this was the second or third somewhere in there. Certainly the first 5 they ever had. I went to Boulder, Colorado. Now, all of the events did take place at a Google office. The Boulder office is very cool because it's the home of Google Earth. And so the whole office is like 3D models and maps and Earth. It's a very cool vibe to it. I have tried to remember. I wish I could remember how I actually heard about the Google Teacher Academy. I don't recall, because again, this is ancient history. So at the time, there was no Google Drive, no Google Classroom. Chromebooks did not exist. Google Docs, not a thing. So when I went to the Google Teacher Academy, the big topic was Google Search, Gmail, and Blogger. Those were like the hot things to discuss. And then here's a little Google trivia for you. Shortly after the Google Teacher Academy, a brand new product came out. Does not exist anymore. It was called Google Wave. Do either of you remember Google Wave?
No, that's crazy. I don't remember Google Wave, and I'm pretty good at remembering different things. Liz, do you know Google Wave?
I do not.
It was wild, and it was a super big deal because it was one of those big launches with invitations. And so Google innovators or trainers, I don't remember what they called us at the time, we got like 6 invitations. It was a huge deal. Now, Google Wave does not exist, but the underlying technology for Google Wave is Google Drive. So I don't know all the internals, but they took the concept. It was kind of crazy, and it basically became the multi-editing platform that we all know as Google Drive. So this has been like 2010, 2011, somewhere in there.
That is crazy. Okay, that's pretty neat. Okay, so understanding those slight limitations of things, how did the Google Teacher Academy compare to what the Google Innovator Program looks like now? Like, I know you're so involved in Google. I'm sure you know about like the Innovator process now. If you could compare the two, give us an idea of what it's like.
Well, I'm very jealous because it was nothing like the Innovator Academy now. It was one day. I mean, it was like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or something like that. It's one day. There was no project. There wasn't much of a, thing afterward. We had a Google group, but that was about it. However, the core focus or culture is still the same. It was very collaborative. It's about sharing, about supporting one another. I mean, the people that I met at the Teacher Academy, I know many of them still today. So lifelong friendships. And it really kind of just opened my eyes that I can be a classroom teacher and influence education, culture, my community in a greater way also through the magic of technology, which we've come to know and appreciate, powered by all things Google. So similar culture, very different experience.
Yeah, it really sounds like that common thread between the Teacher Academy and the Innovator Academy is that community aspect. And that's something that we're finding as we're speaking to innovators. And that's a huge part of why we wanted to establish this space as a place for innovators to connect and share their stories. But you are not just an innovator, right? So you have your innovator status from your time at the Teacher Academy. And then you've gone on to be a more advanced member of the Champions community. Can you talk to us a little bit about your position in the Champions community and kind of how that evolved since? Because trainer and didn't exist, right, at that time. This tell us a little bit about it?
2009, it did not. I'm very grateful that they've grandfathered me, and I am literally the grandfather of this group here. So yes, I've become an innovator by default. In 2011, so just a couple years later, as Google began rolling out more tools and began really focusing on education, they made the interesting decision not to build out their own internal training team, which is what Microsoft and many other tech companies do. Instead, they said, let's create a certification program for actual educators who we will know and trust to then go and provide professional development services on our behalf. And I was very honored to be involved in that initial cohort. So that was 2011. It was my first visit to the Googleplex in Mountain View. It was a couple days where we put together, the bare bones of what is now the Google Trainer program. It's evolved a lot since then. That's when they first announced or first initially launched the certification exams. They were wild back then. It was kind of ridiculous. You had to take, I think it was either 5 or 7 individual exams. You had to take like a 50-question quiz on Gmail, Drive, calendar, sites. Like every single one had its own separate exam. You had to do all, I can't remember if there was 5 or 7 to become a certified trainer. It's they've eased off of that a little bit. That was rough.
Yeah, that's a lot. That would be a long YouTube video from your side for preparing for that exam.
But again, connecting me with some great people, the collaboration, it's amazing. None of us really look at each other as like competitors. Everybody's there to help. There's plenty of opportunity for everyone, and we're all there to encourage one another. So it's great. Highly recommend both the Innovator and the Trainer program to anybody who's interested.
That's awesome. So, and obviously we were all very much interested in that. And you've gone down a big path to where you are now. So when you had founded, like I think we had read that you had founded the Google Certification Academy in 2014, right? So what need were you seeing that led to create that? And then how did that like continuously progress from your innovator journey up to that point?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, you could consider the Google Certification Academy as my innovator project. Certainly very unofficial, just my own thing. Initially, the reason I created it is because a lot of people wanted to become trainers, but the process was just so overwhelming. I mean, there were 7 exams that you had to take. And so I put together a 2-day in-person cohort where we would go through everything to prepare people to pass those certifications. Since 2014, they've obviously evolved tremendously, eventually became the Google Educator certifications. Those have evolved multiple times from hands-on to quizzes, back to hands-on as they are now. COVID shut down all of my in-person events. I used to travel around the country and do these, in the summer, but COVID killed that. And so pivoted to online, which is what I've been doing ever since. So I actually just wrapped up a cohort here in February, had about 40 teachers. I mean, it's amazing. I've got people, mostly from the United States, but I have a gentleman from South Africa who joined, from the UK, from Ireland and England, all over the world. And we get to connect over this common interest in technology and helping kids learn more effectively.
Wow, that is so cool. So it seems like your evolution from in-person to YouTube was really forced at first by COVID. And I think that's probably where you grew so much of your presence and your platform on YouTube. I think that's why you have such a global presence, was from that time. I think you had mentioned to me once about either a webinar or something you did on YouTube during COVID that was very heavily attended. Did you find that during that crazy time during YouTube? Can you talk to us a little bit about that COVID ride and then the need that people had for your advice and your help?
Yeah. I'm a little embarrassed to say that I didn't take YouTube seriously enough. Actually, I'm going to look. Like, my oldest YouTube video is probably precedes even the Google Teacher Academy. I think my oldest one, I'll look here, is like 2007 or 8. but I just never really gave it a ton of thought, and I was just like, whatever. And it's an amazing platform. So it was really when COVID came where, I couldn't travel, I couldn't do my typical in-person workshops, no conferences. So I had all this extra time, and I was like, all right, well, let's do YouTube. The one video, and you guys will all remember this, or you're probably trying to forget it. People were trying to figure out how to use Google Meet or Hangouts at the time as a teaching tool. Was not well suited for it, but we did what we had to do. So I created a lot of videos on teaching through Google Meet, Google Hangouts, which became very popular. When you create content for a K-12 like teacher audience, I mean, you just have to face the reality that it does limit your reach. Like, there's only so many teachers in the world. But occasionally, when you're talking about technology topics, you can branch out, you get outside of that box. And the YouTube algorithm is amazing at figuring out who your video will resonate with and then expanding that community as appropriate. So I created the video for teachers, but it became very, businesses, everybody was using Zoom or Google Meet to talk. And so that video went wild. It's still my most popular video. I mean, it had over 1 million views in like 6 weeks. I mean, it was unbelievable. I have yet to be able to replicate that success. I would say YouTube is a lot like baseball. You just got to get up to bat. You never know when you're going to hit the home run. So you just got to keep swinging. And it's very daunting because you could swing 100 times, 1,000 times and not hit a home run. And then you just get that one that pops off, and it's impossible. I don't care how much you know about YouTube. It's impossible to predict. The weirdest videos will become the most popular for reasons that you can't always figure out.
Oh, I agree. I won't even get into some of the stupidest videos that I've seen. We don't need to hear about that. But I do know you, and you're not in the category of the stupid weird videos I've seen, I promise. That I've known you mostly from YouTube. And I will say that when COVID did happen, I loved everything you did. I will say that you are like my go-to person for getting like updates and looking up anything Google. So I understand that like now it seems like your perception of YouTube has changed. I'm wondering if there are innovators out there or teachers who want to use YouTube, like what advice would you give them? Would you even say like you said, like to kind of keep swinging, and I understand that aspect of it, but is there any other sort of element where you're like, these are like my top 3 tips for being someone who creates YouTube videos?
Yeah, they're not super fancy, fun tips. So the first thing you have to do is kind of figure out your niche, like what's your angle. EdTech is too big, so I went Google, and then in some ways I even went more narrow and focused on Chromebooks. Today, like, I would not recommend that people try to emulate what I'm doing. Like, I don't even think that I could replicate what I'm doing now. The only reason it works is because I had such a big head start. Like, I started in 2009. Like, if you were trying to do this today, there's too much noise. There's way too much noise. So I think a more successful tact is like using Google as a math teacher, using Google as a PE teacher, or as a language arts teacher, like really focus in on one particular thing. So that's number one is, pick your niche. Number two, you're not going to like this, but like, you can't do this to get rich. YouTube is not like, it's not a get rich place. I'm not saying you can't earn a living, but if your focus is getting rich, then frankly, Christina, you should do the dumb videos that we all talk about, like the 6-hour fireplace video, or the countdown timer guy. He makes so much money with, like, he's got a 60-minute countdown timer and a 2-hour countdown timer, and there had millions of views on them. But I mean, you're not exactly making the world a better place. You're just creating, interesting content for YouTube. So find your niche. Don't do it to get rich, do it to help people, and you'll find your way. And then the third one is the hardest, is be consistent. You got to just get up to bat, got to just keep swinging. Your first 100 videos are going to be trash, and there's no way to get around it. You can't skip to video 200. You have to go 1 through 100. So you just have to keep swinging and figuring out what's your voice, what's your style. I mean, I was looking at my channel. I mean, if you go to my channel and you go all the way to the end, you're going to see some absolute garbage videos. I mean, you're going to see young John back in like 2008. So embarrassing. Probably don't do that. But you can't get better until you do the bad ones.
Well, that's really great advice. I think all three of those things are just powerful for educators getting started, but I think it just shows like your determination and how unique not only your timeline was that put you in this position as like a true like Google guru, but also your determination and your willingness to continue and grow, and then even admit that you have those old building videos. And that's part of your story. I think that's a big part of what we talk about in the modern Innovator Academy, is how much failure is a part of the process and that failing forward piece. But you have followed this amazing timeline and you've established yourself, and now you have this like truly global impact. So I'm curious, you've worked with teachers across the country and, like you said, around the world through your Chromebook work, your Google Admin Console work, and your Certification Academy work. But I'm wondering, what has surprised you most about the way that teachers that you're working with actually learn to use technology well?
It's a slow process. Unfortunately, it would be great if that one day staff PD at the beginning of the school year was all they needed, but it's not. It's probably my least favorite way to do professional development, 2 days before the school year is supposed to start. It really takes consistent assistance. And I would say that the most effective professional development is what I would define as just-in-time PD. It's not PD that teaches you something new. It's PD that solves a problem that you have right now. And that is way more effectively delivered by the instructional coach for the district. Like, if you try to run a full day workshop on Google Sheets, nobody wants to come. But if you have a teacher who is frantically trying to submit their grades and needs to, figure out some formula to get the information she needs, and you show her how to use a pivot table for the first time, she will be thrilled and will always remember how to do a pivot table. But trying to do like a workshop on pivot tables, oh my goodness, nobody wants to go to that. So just in time PD, meeting people where they're at, finding out what their pain points are, and then assisting them with that solution is great. And AI is a wonderful way to do that right now. There's a lot of teachers who are skeptical about AI or suspicious of it, or it didn't, do what they wanted to do. But if you can say, hey, you can do that whole thing basically instantly, let me show you. I mean, that's a huge win.
I do think it's so important that we need to consistently focus on the wins right now. I think there is a little bit of animosity towards AI, that they think they can't win at it. I think more along the lines of they feel like it's almost cheating at it, right? But I do totally agree with you that the just-in-time supports are a huge element of what we should always be focusing on for professional development. And it's always great hearing from someone who comes from a huge background of experience. I'm going to start calling you like the Jeepa John, like the Grandpa John of Google. And now apparently you're going to be like the Jeepaw John of Gemini. But you do have this experience where you come from being a teacher, and then you mentioned being a principal, and now you're a completely independent trainer, and you're making all of these videos and doing all this amazing things. So based on that range of experience you've had, like, how does that help you approach EdTech today? And you were saying, like, at the very beginning of your experience, they didn't even have Chromebooks, like Drive wasn't even a thing. And now you just mentioned how teachers can step in and totally use AI. So it's just crazy to see how that has expanded so quickly. So from your approach to EdTech today, like, how do you think that experience has helped you? What are some things you think about that?
Right now, I would say the biggest challenge for everyone is a sense of disillusionment. So back in 2009, you know, a lot of schools didn't even have reliable Wi-Fi access. I mean, it was still developing. And so we were longing for like, oh, can you imagine the day when everything's connected and we can edit in real time? Like we're imagining all these things, and we got it, but it didn't solve all the problem, or maybe it solved some and then created others, maybe more issues. Um, and so what I am having to do now, and I need to figure out a better way to communicate this, because when you look at my content, my podcast, blog, like whatever it is, all I do is talk about technology. Well, that makes it sound like I think that technology is the solution to every problem in the classroom. And I 100% do not believe that. I would encourage teachers to put the Chromebooks away, turn it off, use paper and pencil, use a textbook, like go old school when it's appropriate. I trust teachers to make the right decision for their classroom. Like every teacher needs to know what the right tool is for the right task. It's hard for like people misunderstand me because that's my job, is like I'm trying to do the technology part. So like if you want to do paper and pencil, like I'm not the guy to come to because that's not what I do. But I'm not saying that I have all the solutions. Lately, I don't know why, but I have a bunch of people calling me out on Facebook for all this stuff, like why do you always think technology is a solution? And I have to explain, like I'm just telling you the new feature. You don't have to use it. You can decide for yourself. So that to me right now is the biggest challenge, because there are so many unintended consequences. I mean, the off-task behavior, the cheating, the negative impacts of social media and cell phones. I mean, 100%. I mean, how my wife and I manage our own family is very different from a lot of people. Like we understand that technology has a place, but it also has detrimental, effects. So I try to communicate that with teachers when I work with them so that they have the freedom to not use AI or not use Google Docs, or just write with pencil and paper if that is the best option.
Yeah, well, we've been traveling this like EdTech innovation timeline with a few guests now, and a common thread has really been that back then we had these big ideas and all of these things we could do if we just had the tech, and now we have too much tech or a lot of tech,
Yep.
but we still have these hurdles and boundaries, and now we have even more concerns and problems. But I think you have this unique avenue in and niche, like you said when you were talking about developing a YouTube channel, that you focus on to keep people informed. And that doesn't mean, like you said, that you're pushing it or advocating for teachers to just use technology and not like practice best pedagogical practices. So I think that
100%.
is something that education is struggling with as a whole, and especially as we like have been reflecting on this timeline. So I'm wondering, right now in 2026, what does meaningful ed tech innovation look like in your eyes now, after all these years of supporting teachers and going through your own process?
It's going to be different for everybody in every classroom. I mean, I don't know that there's like one magical thing that solves the problem. And honestly, I mean, those were the good old days when it used to be a pretty infrequent moment when like a new thing happened. Like there's a new thing and it was super cool and everybody loved it. I mean, the last one I really remember was like Flipgrid when it first launched. Like it was super cool and everybody was excited about it. Um, Everything's so fragmented now that you don't really have those major moments as much anymore, because everybody's doing their own thing. So really, it's just individual teachers figuring out what strategies work well for my classroom, and piecing those together. AI is the ultimate differentiator. It's the ultimate way to customize everything for your classroom. And, it's not going to get the headlines because it's so niche. Like I'm able to do something for one kid in my class. And that's not going to make headlines, but that was a lot of work pre AI. Like to differentiate for 30 kids was like a nightmare, maybe 2 or 3 at the most. But now we have the potential to do that for everybody.
I like how we're veering into this space of students and that, we were just talking about teachers and how teachers, like there's so much for them to go out and pick, right? Like there's so many different technology tools. And I like the idea that you brought up Flip. I loved Flip. That was like my
May
jam.
rest
And
in
then all of a
peace.
sudden, yeah, I know. I was like, now I can't get in, but that's okay. So you're one of the biggest leading voices around Chromebooks. So if we're talking about like what teachers can do and that AI can be used to differentiate certain aspects of things. Let's talk about students having a Chromebook in their hands and being in the classroom. What do you think educators like miss sometimes when it comes to student use of Chromebooks? I mean, you said and I love it that it's on our podcast first, you guys, that John just said that he doesn't believe that tech is the answer to all things. Okay. So like
Certainly not.
you heard it here first. That was he told us. But if you were talking about a student with a Chromebook right in front of them, what do you think is that thing that educators miss?
Um, so let me give you two answers. So in terms of like the actual student, my goal with Chromebooks is always to get them to create. I want students to create with Chrome. Apple does such a wonderful job marketing the iPad. Google, we love you. Your marketing sucks. It's terrible. In terms of you create great products and they are so capable, but you kind of just leave it up to the user to figure out what to do with it. Apple creates these emotional, things about the girl with the iPad building rockets and, all of that. Google lets us just kind of figure it out. So creating with Chrome is always my passion for students, whether it's audio, video, image-based products. And I mean, I could go on for hours about the best tools and lessons to do that. Now I'm going to flip that and also talk about from a teacher perspective. This gets me in trouble. I, for the life of me, do not understand why we give Chromebooks to students, but not to teachers. It does not make any sense. And it's not the teacher's fault, but many of them don't understand Chromebooks. Like they're like, oh, I use the Chrome browser. Not the same. The Chrome browser and Chromebooks have really separated more and more over the last 5 years. There's tons of features that Chromebooks have that your Mac or PC doesn't. There are things your PC has that your Chromebook doesn't. And if you don't use that as an educator, it's very difficult to guide your student through the process of creating those audio, video, image projects because it's totally different. So I'm on a big push for getting teachers on Chromebook Plus devices. Now, again, the problem with school administration is that one time they handed a teacher a student Chromebook and they used it for like 10 minutes. They're like, oh my gosh, I will never use this again. No, that is not a professional device. You can't expect a teacher to use that. So get them a good Chromebook and they'll have a much better experience and be able to teach more effectively with it.
Yeah, I totally agree, especially when you talked about how they develop these incredible features and then people just don't know about them. But that's also where you come in. And
I mean,
that's
it does
where
cover a niche. You are correct.
that is where I find myself constantly going to you. And the biggest one that I've noticed is all around accessibility, because I think it's the accessibility and engagement piece. The engagement is that creation, that personalized learning, but just the accessibility tools and features that are on a Chromebook that you can't get on other devices are just so powerful. And we have these teachers who are requesting these special extensions and these special things. And you're like, no, the Chromebook has that and does it very well. So,
Tremendously.
right. And I get a lot of that information directly from your resources. So thank you for filling that marketing gap that you identified
I
with
suppose I should
yourself.
complain.
We've covered so much ground in this. We've gone from devices to like pedagogical theory around technology use, your story, the Teacher Academy. So just kind of to sum things all up before we wrap it up, if there was a piece of advice that OG John could give to someone who's applying for the 2026 Innovator Academy, what advice would you give them?
I would just say do it. Just don't overthink it. Just do it. Again, I don't remember how I heard about the Google Teacher Academy, and I really don't even know what is like, oh, I should apply for this. Like, I have no recollection of that. I was just like, all right, this sounds cool. Let me try it out. So go for it. I mean, the worst that can happen is you don't get in. I mean, it is so much more competitive today than it was back in 2009. I mean, Google was kind of a joke at that time. I mean, it was not the powerhouse that it is today. So you may not get in your first time. I mean, what they take, is it 60, 70 people per cohort? It's relatively small. I mean, it's equivalent of winning teacher of the year, honestly. So you may have to try a couple times. I know that Google does look at reach and influence as a decision-making point. So this is a great time, in addition to applying, to start your YouTube channel, to start the podcast, to be more active on social media, to speak at EdTech conferences in your region, because that is something that Google looks at, because the Innovator program is designed to be, the evangelists for Google and technology in general. And the bigger your reach, the bigger your impact, the more favorably I think your application is.
That makes a lot of sense. That's really good advice too. Just the go for it. And I like what it connects right back to what you're saying about you just got to keep swinging. You got to step up to the plate and swing, and you don't know when that home run will come. So we've gone full circle. Great job. Before we do formally wrap things up, is there anything that you have coming up that you want to let our listeners know about? Do you have a big academy coming up?
Be quiet in the spring. I'll be relaunching everything in the summer. So I always do my Google certification academies are June, July, and January. So months that start with J, I guess. So I'll have 2 of those coming up. Those of you who are interested in the Innovator program, you do have to be level 1, level 2. And I thought I read, is it Gemini also? I think they added Gemini.
I think I saw that in there too.
Yeah. So
I think so.
You got to do all 3. And that's what I cover in the Certification Academy. You would have time, if you wanted to join me, get those 3 certifications. You could work on your Innovator application at the same time. I think when the Atlanta one, I think, is in July or August, but there's also, I think the last one is another virtual one.
There is. I think virtual is bookends.
Yep. Still have time in 2026 to get it in and do it. So, so the website for that is geducator.com. Which will give you links to all the stuff. So I got a lot of stuff.
We'll link everything, and everything's linked in the comments or description.
Gemini exam, level 1, level 2, keep that up to date. And then if you're Google admin, that's what the other thing that I do is the technical stuff. So I do the Google admin boot camp, and I'll do that again in June as well. So if you're one of the blessed individuals that has to teach and do all the technical management, love to chat with you. I am an accidental Google admin. Was not a plan. I got put in charge and it stuck. So now I have 27 accounts to manage. But yeah, love to have you. GoogleAdminBootcamp.com is the other option.
Thank you so much for coming on our podcast today. I feel very under Googleized now, if that's even a way to phrase that. And I think most people who are Google admin are probably accidental Google admin.
It happens.
So you heard all of this amazing information today. If you are considering becoming a Google Innovator, definitely check out all of John's resources. He's an amazing person who knows so much Google information. As we said, he's the OG coming on for us today. And we thank him so much for sharing his journey with us and all the work he's done to help teachers move from all of this big, huge ideas to using actual Google implementation in the classroom. To our listeners, if something in this episode ignited an idea for you, go ahead and put it in the comments. Let us know, add in the comments if you want more information about everything that John is capable of doing. If you're an Innovator alum, we want to hear your story, so come on and be a guest. Even if you're an aspiring innovator, then go ahead and hop on as well. We want to hear your story. So remember to keep innovating, and we'll see you all next time. Stay connected, stay inspired, keep it unscripted.